At first, I thought she was just tired. Long hours at work, stress about money, life creeping in. We all go through those patches, right? I didn't want to be the kind of man who made demands. I gave her space. I kissed her forehead instead of her lips. I told her I understood when I didn't. When I craved touch and closeness and just being wanted, I buried it under silence. But weeks turned into months. A year passed. Every night I reached out, not always for intimacy, sometimes just to hold her, just to feel like we were still us. And every night, she rolled over with a sigh or mumbled something vague. Not tonight. I'm exhausted. Can we not? Eventually, I stopped trying and something inside me began to shut off. Not in a loud, dramatic way, but slowly, quietly, like a faucet left slightly open, dripping out affection one drop at a time until the pipe ran dry. So, I started avoiding her every morning. I got up earlier, took longer showers, drank my coffee on the porch instead of at the kitchen table. I'd wait until she left before getting dressed. No more goodbyes, no more have a good day. It wasn't revenge, it was retreat. I didn't know how to explain that my heart wasn't broken in half. It was just going numb. But the morning she asked, "Why don't you even look at me anymore?" I knew she'd finally started to feel it, too. I looked up from my coffee when she asked that question. Why don't you even look at me anymore? But I didn't answer right away because if I did, I knew I'd say something I couldn't take back. Something like, because I miss you and I don't think you miss me back. Instead, I just said, I didn't think you wanted me to. She blinked, stunned, like that thought had never occurred to her. She sat down across from me, still in her robe, eyes puffy from sleep. Or maybe from all the things we hadn't said in the last 6 months. Is that why you've been so distant? She asked quietly. Because I haven't been intimate. That word, intimate, landed like a stone between us. I nodded slowly. It's not just about sex. It's the feeling that I'm not even in your world anymore. You say good night without touching me. You wake up without saying good morning. It's like I'm invisible. She looked down at her hands. I didn't realize you felt that way. I wanted to believe that, but I couldn't. Not fully. I left a trail of quiet goodbyes every night. I said, you just stopped following them. Then she said something I didn't expect. I didn't know how to be close to you anymore because I thought you stopped wanting me first. That hit me like a gut punch. All this time, both of us had been hurting, but instead of reaching, we retreated. Instead of talking, we assumed. And in the space between words, our love had been quietly starving to death. She reached across the table and put her hand over mine for the first time in months. Do you still want us? She asked. I stared at her, at the woman I had fallen asleep beside for years, who had become a stranger only feet away, and I said, I want us more than anything, but we can't pretend we didn't lose something first. That night, for the first time in what felt like years, we didn't go to bed as strangers. We didn't fix everything. We didn't light candles or fall into each other's arms like a movie, but we talked for hours. We talked about the things we were afraid to admit even to ourselves. How routine had stolen our curiosity. How resentment crept in because neither of us felt chosen anymore. How she felt undesirable and I felt unloved. How silence had become our way of protecting each other from the truth and instead it only built walls. She cried when I told her I had once started sleeping with my back turned because facing her felt too painful. I nearly broke when she said, I thought you didn't find me beautiful anymore. I didn't stop desiring you, I said softly. I just stopped knowing how to reach you without being pushed away. We weren't trying to blame anymore. Just understand. In the days that followed, we made small changes, not grand gestures, just careful steps. We made breakfast together, even if it was just toast. We touched more, not always sexually, but intimately. A hand on the back, a lingering hug, a kiss that didn't feel like obligation. We started going on evening walks again. We agreed to therapy. We promised not to let silence feel safer than truth. And one morning, just 1 week later, she woke up before me and brought coffee to the bed. I sat up surprised. She smiled and said, I'm sorry for all the nights I left you alone. I reached for her hand and replied, I'm sorry for all the mornings I made you feel invisible. That moment wasn't magic. It was fragile, but it was real. Sometimes love doesn't need a grand comeback. It just needs both people to stop running away and finally turn toward each other.